Hello and welcome to another video from thefanpub.com. It's Alan Sean back again.
It's great to be back for another season now. We've got so much to talk about.
What we're going to do is actually show you why we've had quite a jump in subscribers and why you should be listening to us. We're going through the 12 players we picked for you to target in last year's draft, and we're going to say whether they were hit, a miss, or just
and in the middle.
Yeah. So, okay, let's start with number 12.
Back to fanpub.com. My name's Sean Collins, and thanks for watching. This is the bold prediction. This is number 12, the official top 12. Corey Clement was a special bonus for you. This guy totally deserves to be on that list, and I've taken shares of him wherever I can get him. And it's T.Y. Hilton for this year. Massive bounce back candidate. Very, very sneaky value, I think you can have with T.Y. Hilton. There's no doubt good wide receivers hold until there's a point where their career breaks down. Last year was not his fault. He got 966 yards last year and 4 touchdowns, and 4 games over 100. 2 of those games were 150 yards without Andrew Luck. That screams immense value to me. So absolutely all over this player all year long. Luck is back. There is going to be some early rust, but the real beneficiary and the real focal point of the Colts offense is still T.Y. Hilton, and I absolutely see a huge bounce back for him. So do not be surprised if he flirts with, somewhere between 12 and 1,400 yards with anything between 8 and 12 touchdowns. That's a definite.
Okay, so let's talk about T.Y. Hilton. You said between 12 and
1,400 yards,
and he actually got 1,270, so that's a big tick.
Yeah, he was missed out on the touchdowns because I said he could get 8 to 12, and he ended up with 6. So I still think that's a big hit because of the value of T.Y. Hilton. He was very underappreciated last season, and he fell quite deep. You were often picking him up in the third round of a lot of small drafts, so that was really good value.
We can definitely call that one a hit. Like we said, 1,270 yards, 6 touchdowns, 76 catches, so pretty good all round.
And I still think there's some good days ahead of him, particularly now with them adding Paris Campbell in this year. So there's some really nice side for really help T.Y. Hilton, I think, as well. So he's not really. We've seen kind of about where the ceiling is. It's not going to really improve, but.
Hello, fanpub.com. My name's Sean Connors, and this is bold prediction number 11. This particular player, I've had loads of problems pronouncing his name, but I believe I'm going to get it right today. It's Travis Kelce.
So.
He is going to be the tight end 1 for this year. I am absolutely a great believer in what's going to happen for him this year, and I think that Patrick Mahomes is going to rely very, very heavily on him in year 1, and Patrick Mahomes is no slouch. I really believe he's going to adapt to the NFL very well because of the coaching, because of the team around him.
Good prediction
itself. Very good offensive year. He's going to benefit this, Kelce, and I do think you're going to see somewhere in the range of 11 to 1,300 yards for a tight end, and somewhere between 9 and 13 touchdowns when it's all said and done. That makes him the number 1.
Okay, so he actually managed 1,336 yards, so he actually
succeeded the top range of the numbers, and I said between 9 and 13 touchdowns, and he got 10. So bang on, and he was the tight end number 1 by quite some margin. In standard leagues, he got just a shade under 200 fantasy points. But anybody knows that when we talk on this podcast, if a player gets 200, he's a round 1 worthy player. So this guy just slightly fell short of round 1 value as a tight end, and I think you've got some people are starting to think about Travis Kelce.
Well, yeah, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts this off-season, and often what happens is a lot of people sort of catch up to what we've been saying sort of a year after, and this is the case with Kelce. A lot of people will be telling you to draft him in the first round, and I've seen him already, and we were talking about May 2019 as we actually talk, and he's actually, a lot of people are predicting him. 3 or 4 different podcasts have already said draft him like at the end of the first round like you would with Gronk, so so way ahead of the curve.
Yeah, there's no bad advice when it comes to, I don't necessarily disagree that it's good value, but particularly at the end of a turn in a round, it's not bad going into the second. But I think when you're anchoring your team on a tight end, that's not necessarily great fancy advice. I think last year, what was so good about taking him, he was the 3rd round in a large league, often a 4th round target in a small league. That's great value. Now, though, the value's far too high for my blood. But a great pick, and I think we'd agree, he finished number 1. We got the spot on the stats, so that's a big hit.
Yeah, so we're trying to get you ahead of the curve. We're trying to get you the value before people have seen it already. So we're predicting who's going to take a leap. Why? And Sean quite rightly, singled out Patrick Mahomes for taking a big step forward. I mean,
can't really
you've
argue
talked
that.
him up in a
Yeah.
lot of our podcasts. For you regular listeners, you'll know that.
And we talked about it the year before as a big breakout within 2 years. We said within 0 to 2 years he will be highly thought after as one of the top quarterbacks. I mean, I don't think we can argue he's probably number one now on most people's list.
Okay, so let's go on to number 10 for 2018.
Hello, welcome back to thefanpub.com. My name's Sean Connors, and once again we're on the bold prediction list. Last time we looked at Travis Kelce at pick 11. This time we're looking at number 10 on that bold prediction list, and that is a rookie for this year. This is Anthony Miller. Now, Anthony Miller is going to produce some really good stats for this year, but I think where he's really going to win you through, if I'm being honest, probably in retrospect, is going to be Dynasty. He's going to show this year fantastic flashes of brilliance. I do believe he can return 140 fantasy points, which is still massive where you're getting him in ADPs.
Okay, so that's probably our first sort of.
That's a miss. I mean, it was a too bold an idea on this rookie. Too bold. I mean, at least the only saving grace on this we did say for Dynasty. I think people did see flashes from Miller of something special, but he did score 7 touchdowns. So he's definitely a red zone presence, and he stayed healthy. But I think if I'm being honest, he missed out because clearly they were juggling pieces in the offense. It was too bullish a prediction, and that's fair enough. It's better to be bold and fall than not be bold enough. So I take that as a miss.
And he actually got injured early on as well, which probably held him back a bit. But the 7 touchdowns, maybe the talent's still there.
I mean, the learning, as I say to you off camera, we'll put it on here as well, as again is, learning for me for that was, never be too bullish on a rookie wide receiver.
Which you're not going to be doing this year.
Not going to be doing this year. Wait till
We'll
you see
see
the bold
about
prediction
that,
list.
but, okay, let's go on to the next one. We're calling that one a miss, definitely.
Yeah,
to be honest.
definitely 100% miss.
Hello and welcome back to the fanpub.com. My name's Sean Connors, drinking tea. But this is really, my last video really I should have called 10B actually. This should be 10A. I'm giving you an extra bonus player here. I forgot all about this because I really want to mention it here. This is Saquon Barkley for this year. I have reservations that it's going to start the year with a bit of rust because of the injury picked up in pre-season. But there's no doubt this is a special running back. Running backs in the NFL that come along with his calibre rarely fail to not deliver. I've no doubt he's going to give you some fantastic return for value. You're going to have to pay a first round premium for him, but he is a special back. Next year in Dynasty, mark my words, you're going to be picking him number 1 in a redraft Dynasty league.
Well, I don't think anyone can really doubt that.
I think that's spot on, isn't it? I mean, and that is bold because we're talking about it a year before. It's one thing to do it the year after. It's another thing to say.
I mean, it seems obvious saying it now, but it wasn't at the time.
He had never played it down in the NFL. Yes, he was regarded as a very good running back, but he proved nothing. He had to prove it on a very poor Giants team. He did that. And he arguably is your number 1 in Dynasty. He's certainly my number 1 in Dynasty this year. And I think a lot of podcasters
consensus number 1. I mean,
so that's about as solid a pick as you can get. So if you
1,300 yards, 11 touchdown rushing, and 721 yards and 4 touchdowns receiving.
Did everything I needed him to do and more, and proved why he is the number 1 in Dynasty.
And if you drafted him, I'm sure
we're going to have a very good discussion in other videos about why he's not my number 1 in redraft. We'll talk about that.
So interesting. So good for that. Okay, let's go to our next one, which will be number 9.
Hello and welcome back to my list, Sean Connors' list here on fanpub.com. We are at bold prediction number 9, and this is a real bolt out of the blue. This one's going to surprise everybody because we've not talked about this all year actually. I know it's difficult because we're going to make a prediction which I hate making them, but I actually got quite a good track record on this. I'm going to give you 2 names at this bold prediction point that I reckon are worth a grab. If you can get both, take them. And that is James Conner and Jalen Rich Samuels, because these guys have sneaky win your league upside, because anything could happen to Bell. I've got a funny feeling that although Bell is elite, it's just something telling me that I've got to be a bit sneaky here. So I say if you've got a space on your team and it's late, take these guys. Grab one or the other, because
Well, there you go. That is so insightful.
Well, you've got to remember this video. If you don't know how this was done, and please do check that video out. You'll notice it was done before anybody mentions anything anywhere to do with Bell's off-field issues. It's not mentioned. Nobody has mentioned that at this point. There's no indication of Bell's not playing. Nothing. And I'm telling you to swerve and take James Conner and Jonas Allen. I don't think you can argue that arguably could win your league upside was there, and without a shadow of a doubt, both of them massively contribute. James Conner early season, Jonas Allen was towards the end. I don't think you can get better than that.
I mean, you're talking about drafting an RB1 James Conner nearly 1,000 yards. He's an RB1 till he went down, and then Jalen Samuels, who's the second person Sean mentioned to pick up.
That's mostly because of you, Al, because of all the good work you did on the rookie, the deep rookie flyer list that we did. He was your fifth round pick.
So
I saw a lot of what you then mentioned and put the two together, and it really helped me pick this together.
And he will have finished off the job for you in the playoffs.
So when we talk about James Conner this year, and we will do it in another video, I've got every right to say what I'm going to say because I was very, very clear on James Conner for last year. So I need to put that out there now because when you look back, you're going to think, you're not so high on him this year. Well, we'll talk about that in another video.
Okay, so I think that is a massive hit, the biggest hit as you'll get. I mean, James Conner and Jalen Samuel, they go in any picture like. And
avoiding Bell. I mean, that's massive.
And avoiding Bell, who was number 2, probably consensus. Matthew Berry, all the big ones had it. We did not. We had the 2 backups, and that proved to be.
Never drafted him anywhere.
Sean is unerringly accurate with these things. It's like he's got a time machine, I think. So.
Yes, that does sometimes feel that way, but it's a bit of gut feeling and good analytics.
Let's have a look at the next one. I mean, that's a tough one.
Hello, welcome back to the fanpub.com. My name's Sean Connors, and this is another bold prediction list. This is number 8. This is Kenny Galladay. He was on my bold prediction list last year. Unfortunately, last year we did not see the best of him. We saw a few weeks and he was really injured and he didn't really get much of a chance to shine. But I think if you just come back forward the clock now to this point, what does his teammates say about him? Well, they say he's elite. They call him a beast, actually. They said he's done a brilliant camp, been brilliant in the pre-season. A lot of people saying he's not he's the third receiver. Golden Tate doesn't see it that way. And Golden Tate is at the edge of his career. He knows that this kid is right on his heels and probably may take over. Will it start that way? No. But it could learn that way. Kenny Galladay is a special receiver, 6'4", got all the metrics you want, red zone target. Matthew Stafford is coming into his own as a player. They've improved a lot of the offense. The offensive line is definitely moving in the right direction. I think Detroit are doing some right things. Kenny Galladay is going to be a name you want to have a piece of somewhere in your drafts, and again, it's at a great value. And you know what? He could be your 3rd, 4th, or 5th receiver, depending on the format you've gone down. You're not really risking anything down there, but the upside for this kid, when people say about roots, this guy's got that. He could easily get you 800 to 1,000 yards and 6 or 8 touchdowns, and his ADP, that's a bargain.
Right, so again, I mean, unerringly accurate. 1,063 yards, so he exceeded even the top end.
Yeah, got the top end of it. Yeah,
you're right. I mean, Golden Tate, was traded. They got what they could for him.
And you got to remember the ADP. You weren't picking this guy high. It wasn't early value. This is a mid-round player. He delivered wide receiver 2 numbers, and he ended up with 5 touchdowns, just over 1,000 yards. So he could have been your wide receiver 4 or 5, or in a large league, your wide receiver 3, but played as a wide receiver 2. So as a hit, it's huge because. Everybody we talked about this year, that's a year too late. So again, this is massive for us. So it's a big, big pick. And this year, I would say this about Galladay, where we predicted him last year is probably about his ceiling now, so that the value, unfortunately, is gone.
So we're looking to get you players that are going to exceed their value. I mean, that's how you win your leagues.
It's edges.
Now everyone knows his value. They're catching up, and he'll go accordingly. So I mean, it's all about doing this. So.
Yeah, great stuff. Again, good analytics and spot on. The numbers are really good. That's one thing I will say with the predictions, irrespective. We get the odd one here and there wrong. Andy Miller's a good example, but generally, when you look at the numbers, they do tend to fall in line with what we're saying. So
I mean, Sean's not actually just saying it's a hit. He's actually given you
numbers.
Almost correct. I mean, he was 63 yards out. I mean, he missed a fumble. He didn't mention that. I mean,
sorry about that.
As a starter,
terrible miss. Yeah,
you can't argue with it. Yeah. These were filmed months before, Marvin Jones obviously had his problems. Golden Tate was traded, and he was a one bright spot.
Kenny Galladay was number 3 on their depth chart. Everybody talked it that way, and it ended up him being number 1 exactly.
And he's probably the one bright spark on the offense. Get a carry on Johnson. I mean, he didn't really get to
show us his best, but he was certainly very special.
He could be one for the future. Carry on. So
very interesting.
Okay,
good stuff.
Let's have a look at another one. Another massive hit. You've got to hand it to you. So let's have a look at
Hello, welcome back to the fanpub.com. My name's Sean Connors, and today we're at bold prediction number 7, and we're going to talk about Leonard Fournette. Now, normally the bold prediction list will normally only have players in there that are likely to win your league, but there's a player that you can kind of get this strong feeling about that's going to let you down massively. And this is the player I put on this list to avoid. This is Leonard Fournette. I'm not drafting him anywhere. I recommend you trade on him if you've got him in Dynasty. I've noticed actually quite interestingly in some of the formats that I've been involved in that people have listened to this in Dynasty leagues and have traded him away as of it.
Again, erringly accurate.
This is huge because Leonard Fournette was a first round target player. He was a player a lot of people were getting about ADP value number 12 to 14 range, and in some cases higher in Dynasty. I'm telling people to swerve because of ankle issues. I have big red flags around it at the time, and I'm even telling people to trade on him. Now, when you think about that, trading on him at that moment, the value you would have got would be huge. Because that's the best value. If you try trading on him now, it's not as good. So without a shadow of a doubt, that is a massive hit because you're telling people to avoid a first round pick. That's saving your draft right there. Same with Bell. That's saving your draft.
He went from hero to zero, really. I mean, anyone that owned him last year would have been... It's got to have been a tough year.
There are arguably two running backs in the top ADP last year that were huge failures for people that drafted them, and we've named them here on this podcast. That's Bell and
Fournette. These are two first-round players, and he's told you to swerve them.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. There's not much you can say on
that. And that's why people call us the best kept secret on the internet, because the advice is... Obviously, it's been incredible so far.
I'd argue, as though it's not a big argument, we're the best in the UK, and we really are beginning to show some real steel against some of those American podcasters. And I keep asking them, please give us an opportunity to draft against you. But I'm surprised that they won't yet, but they will eventually. We will win.
Okay, so we counted down from 12 to 7. So we're going to leave it here. Come back for part 2, and we'll count down from 6 to 1, and we'll go through the rest of the prediction for 2018.
Thanks for listening. Keep subscribing. See you next time. It's good.